I welcome in my main man, Jack Shelton. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I got to tell you, I don't know if it was you who told me to watch this rowing movie. Did you tell me to watch a movie?
Oh, I don't think so. The Boys in the Boat.
Yeah, Boys in the Boat. But there's another one on Netflix that I thought it was it. It's like Heart of a Champion or something like that. And I've learned that the reason I bring that up is because you're a college crew guy, right?
Yeah.
So I watched this the other night, and it was actually really good, other than the parts where, the rowing part was good, but the storyline was kind of like, oh, really? Like it kept going back and forth, and it was all about teamwork. And
Hmm.
since you rowed at Wisconsin, right? Is that
Yeah,
where
I did Wisconsin and then Bucknell before that. So
Bucknell? Yeah. And we've talked about rowing a lot as far as your swim stroke and things of that nature. And I found it really interesting. The rowing piece was because this show was all about like the teamwork of it. And um, we're talking about your passions right now. I assume that was one of them at one point. So I don't mean to
oh
put
yeah.
spot, but I just like talking about that because it's so fascinating to me. You watch, the guys out on I guess it's Lake Mendota up in Wisconsin, and I think that we were up there one day and saw them out there rowing in the snow and shit. And I think about like what that must be like to be on that boat.
It's cold for sure. But you warm up. We did that pretty frequently with snow rowing because we only had so much time to actually get on the water, and just like anything else, like actually doing um it the way that you race is very valuable. And in Wisconsin, Thanksgiving till mid-April, there's ice. So, and all the other teams we're competing with have much shorter winters. Either in the Northeast, they row on rivers, which thaw out faster, or the West Coast, where they just don't get cold. So we try to, our coaches were always big on building toughness. And doesn't matter what the weather is, as long as it's like somewhat safe, we would go out.
Yeah.
But it's not as bad as it looks. You get used to it.
Yeah. The one thing I took from that was that, what are your races typically like certain distance? And I want to say that they were talking about like, it was the Ivy League, they were racing Harvard or something like that. And the race was like 6 minutes. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's two seasons for rowing. There's the spring season, which is the big one. That's what you're thinking of. It's 2 kilometer races, and the most competitive people are 5.5 to 6 minutes. It all depends a lot on the conditions, and then it can get slower from there. And then in the in the fall, have you heard of Head of the Charles?
I don't know. I mean, it sounds familiar.
It's the big old race in Boston.
Okay.
There's it for a little bit. It was the most watched live sporting event because everyone would see it. That's a 5K, so it'll be like 15-ish minutes. I think the top people get like 13 maybe, but so it's 5.5 to 15 minutes of the general distances for the races. So
all right, I've got a point here though. I'm trying to bring this back around to triathlon a little bit because one of the things that I didn't realize was like, I would think in a 6-minute race or whatever that is that they were training for, that it would just kind of be balls out. But it sounds like you guys pace a lot more than I might realize, or is that not necessarily true?
Yeah. There's a general race plan, and it differs for every team, but it's usually pretty similar, where you start off, you want to get up to speed as fast as you can, and there's the different strokes per minute. So you get a really high strokes per minute just to get started, similar to how you would if you're like biking. And then once you get to speed, you slow it down to a more reasonable pace. And then there's gamesmanship where you try to, as a boat, take like 10 or 20 hard strokes to build momentum and pass a boat or stop someone from passing you. And then at the end, usually last 500 meters, depending on where you are in the race, you'll start a sprint. So you're increasing the cadence, increasing the pressure. And there's usually a couple of different jumps that you do. But it's also interesting because you're facing backwards. So you'll see the people behind you. So being in front is a really big advantage because no one can see you. So you're trying to get to the front as fast as you can, basically.
Oh yeah. I like what you said there with the bike, because that's one of those things I always try to think about, is getting a speed going, and then you just sort of use the momentum to stay in a pocket, you know. And I think you can do that for everything, really. You know, it's sort of like you're kind of moving. And so like in the middle, you get up to a speed, and then the middle of the race is kind of what endurance sports is all about, is kind of hanging right in that pocket. So why don't we go into like, what is it you're doing in that little office space over there that overlooks the beautiful courtyard?
Yeah, I'm a product manager. I just started a new job 3 weeks ago. So it's a small company that does security systems and notifications for large buildings, mostly schools and hospitals are the main clients, but they will also do warehouses and basically any building that you can think of.
Yeah.
But I help design the product and what we're building and the roadmap for the future of the product.
So security?
Yeah.
Yeah. So your house is like Fort Knox?
No.
No?
I'm new at this. I'm only 3 weeks old, so I have to get in and learn more about it.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool. So, all right, let's switch into triathlon a little bit. When did you get in this sport, and you got any good stories from the early days?
Yeah, so I've been biking for ever. I would do in high school and college the MS 150, which is in northwestern Illinois, and I did my own way. It was supposed to do 75 miles the first day, 75 miles the second day, but there was a 100-mile loop that you could do the first day. So I just do that and then not do anything the second day. So that was always fun. And then after rowing, I didn't have anything to compete with, so I started running, and running's not really my best sport. So I tried to figure out how to bike and competing, and it's harder to find bike races that aren't like you're all right next to each other. I don't really like that. So that's basically how I got into triathlon. I've been doing it this is my third year, I believe. And my first year, I did all my trainings basically going as hard as I can every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd work out 3 days a week for like an hour and just go full on. And I got really tired and didn't do very well. And I kept on hurting myself, which was fun. I did Chattanooga that first year, went like 6:17 with a 250 bike and a 230 run.
Yeah.
Which was fun. And then I did Ironman Wisconsin and got like 14:30. That was really difficult because I started dying on the bike, like 100 miles. I was on the stick on the way home.
Yeah, you're not.
And I'm like, I got a marathon of my nutrition. Was trying something new with stuff with my nutrition the first time at the race because I've been just kind of going back, doing loops from my parents' house north and back down for my bike training. And I realized I can't fit everything. So I tried to put all my nutrition in one bottle and just take little sips of it.
Yeah.
Got tummy ache. So that was tough. I told myself I was done basically after that race because I felt so bad.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't. So then I got you the next year because if I was going to continue doing this, I needed to have a little bit more strategy, and got, 50 minutes faster on Chattanooga the next year,
mm-hmm.
Which just felt so much better. And then this year cut out another 20 minutes. So now I was at, I think 5:06 in Louisville this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's just feeling better and better each race. help
Yeah,
actually know what I'm doing and building my endurance and not just going as hard as I can. Apparently easy days are helpful.
hmm yeah. Well, I mean, you've been kicking some ass as we talk about like how you have that background on some of this stuff and you understand it, and then it was sort of about just kind of picking our spots and working at things, and you've been doing that, and you've been really working on your run here lately, and trying to. It's interesting. I like how you're thinking about it. You're kind of going about it in a way that's very strategic. We talk about how you work on fundamentals and things of that nature, and not try to get wrapped up in the actual paces and things of that. So, but it's just making your fundamentals stronger and just being better at running. And it seems like it's really working out. I mean, you've been strong on the bike, and we had everybody had a tough go of it in Rockford, but I thought you hung pretty strong up there. It was the heat.
Yeah.
But you bounced back and had a really nice race down in Louisville. Yeah. So
Yeah. I got my bike's always been good, and I kept on blaming my bike for like over biking for not going as fast on the run. Like I think my endurance was pretty good, and I went really easy on the bike to be fully ready for that Louisville run. And I also thought it was gonna be hotter, so I wanted it to stay easy. So I got off the Louisville bike feeling like 90%, like really good. And my run score was a lot better than Louisville in my other races, but I was still losing a lot of places from where I think I should be. So I was just looking into my stats from just the Garmin app, and I was going on all my runs like around 140 steps per minute, which seems low. So I've been just trying to do things of just taking so many steps. I started off with getting a playlist that has 160 beats per minute and just trying to take a step just every beat. Yeah. And that has made a pretty big difference in my speed.
That's
so
interesting.
Working on form is helpful. And with rowing, we worked on form a significant amount, because if you didn't have good form, like we had a guy that had multiple US records. He was like on the erg, was the best in the US and like one of the best in the world. But he was on our third boat because he just couldn't do anything on the water. So
oh wow,
it was very important. So now I'm trying to step back into that and figure out some of that good technique.
Yeah, no, I think that stuff is really interesting. I knew a guy. He was a friend of mine in Nashville. We ran our first half marathon together. It was kind of when I was just starting in this sport, and he was a singer-songwriter, and I forgot what his beats per minute was, but he had his own song playing on loop for the whole half marathon. I was like, what is wrong with you, dude? He's like a guitar singer-songwriter guy. He's like running to his own music. Anyway, but yeah, I think it matters. I mean, it's just being able to hold that form and keep that, I think it's great to build that like you've been doing, just because it locks it in naturally. And I mean, I know we talked about this as far as rowing goes with your swim stroke too. And because I wasn't sure, but like, I would assume that your paddle entry and your paddle depth has to be a huge part of like what you guys work on, right?
Oh yeah. Everyone needs to put their blade in the water the same way in the same time, or else the boat's not going to go straight, and the boat will just like tilt from side to side if everyone's not entering, exiting, and then accelerating at the same time. It's like the same thing if you were just like sitting on a canoe and put your hands on and only like push it two different ways. It's just going to wobble.
Right.
That ruins the speed. But there's also different ways of accelerating through the water, which is how, once you said something about it, and I started thinking about how I would row with my oar accelerating through the water, and trying to do that with my hands and working with the paddles to feel that up a little bit more, like catching the water and building the momentum, because you can't just, it doesn't matter what it is. You can't, like if you're, one thing my coach would always say is like the Wheel of Fortune wheel. You can't just pull as hard as you can right away. You have to build it. and then push it, and then you can get that speed. And that's kind of the same thing you can do with the water. You grab it and then hold and slowly push the water so you're not pushing through the water. And that's been pretty helpful for me too.
Yeah, it's an interesting visual. It's a good visual because also if you're reaching, you don't have as much strength here, but your strength starts coming in here, and it makes sense that you would put effort in. It's like tying effort into certain places. And also, I was just thinking about with rowing is like, I suppose everybody has to be at the same depth, because if somebody's lower, their stroke might come through a little slower because they're moving more water or whatever the case may be. It's like you want to get the optimal amount of water with that paddle, I would assume.
Oh yeah, and you just want to be right at the top with rowing, because you're not like, if you're rowing up here with your hands or like down by like your waist, it's just not as strong as a position than if you're just straight. And then also, if you go too deep in the water, if you have like a circle stroke, it's going all the up and down movements wasteful and will just have more drag.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. Yeah, it's like if you're too deep with your hand stroke too, your arm just gets flat in there, and then all that.
The same thing. It's not a strong position, and it's not a. It's a weaker position, and it's putting the pressure in the wrong direction.
Right. And one other thing I noticed they were doing, you were saying like everybody has to be in sync and all that kind of stuff, and they would be rowing, and then they would be like, stop, balance, or whatever. Did you guys do that kind of thing too?
Yeah.
Like, because that thing looks like super, volatile. Like if anybody's leaning one way, it can just like throw the whole ship off.
Oh yeah. No, we didn't do as much in college, but in high school, that was like our way of showing that like we were good boat at races. We would go up and put all of our oars to the deck and just like float with all of our oars up.
Yeah.
That was fun. In college, everyone could do it. So it was just like, what are we doing?
Oh, okay. So it was a little bit of a, like showing out in high school, but at college it's like, so in the last 3 years or whatever, what have you come to love most about triathlon? It can be what it does for you in your job, life, sport.
Yeah. One, I do enjoy that it keeps me relatively healthy. If I don't have something to build for, I tend to gain weight. So being able to eat and not gain weight is fun. But I really like the competition and trying to kind of solve the puzzle of how to do the triathlon. And every race, I feel like I learn a lot more, and every longer workout, I learn more about just what I should try to do next time, whether it's like in Rockford I feel like I didn't have my best race. It wasn't a bad race, but we brought our what was he, 6-month-old to the race, and I was paying attention to him, and I just didn't do any of my normal pre-check for the race. So I like didn't look at the swim course, and I didn't realize that there was a curve in it. And I kept on going straight. I didn't charge my pedals, and then got weird numbers back, and it just like mentally wasn't ready for it. And then when Louisville came along, I realized that there was all these like little things. So I basically made a list of everything I needed to do, and actually make sure to do it and give myself a lot more time. And then I felt a lot more ready for the race.
Yeah. Well, that was a tough day for a lot of people out there in Rockford, and we talked about it. It's sort of like just kind of going through that. And now, and you were actually ready for that at Louisville if it was going to be hot, which it could have been. It could have been similar. And we had talked about that a lot as far as like, almost readjusting expectations a little bit, understanding that everybody goes through it. I mean, I saw like, some of those everyman jack cats out there just walking along in Rockford. They were just toast, everybody kind of gets bit, when I think it was that, not knowing the course, maybe it's a first time race. A lot of times people are, you look at it and you're like, this won't be that bad, but coming back in for the last 10 miles in 100 degrees with that wind just cooking you in the face. You know, it was a tough ending to that. And I think that last stretch at Rockford got a lot of people, and we talked about it. Sort of like,
Yeah, that I think the wind almost was worse than the heat on the bike, because the way back, it just slowed you down so much going up those hills. And then that was added time in the heat. So anyone that was, they would just made everyone's bike so much longer. And then
right. And
slide people's legs for the run.
yeah, it's sort of like, you know, what it takes for anybody, you know, like somebody who's been in the sport a long time, even to recognize that and be like, okay, this is going to dig into everybody. So I need to pull back and just be patient and maybe take 5-10 minutes longer on this ride to save my run. I mean, that's so hard to do.
Yeah.
You know, because it would have helped, you know, and then but you know, we live and learn with that kind of stuff. So, let's see here. What kind of stuff, what kind of challenges have you been facing? I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but, you know, is it the time? I mean, you got, I guess.
I think time is going to be probably my hardest. Recently, it's been even harder starting a new job, and I've been going to Madison and driving up there every once in a while, which just takes all day, so I don't have very much time to get anything done. So trying to schedule workouts. Luckily now it's more of the off season, so I can take those as my off days. But having a baby definitely makes it harder to, because when I'm not watching him, that means my wife has to watch him. So if I go for 6 hour, like if I do a 3.5 hour ride, but I have to go somewhere to do it, and now it's 6 hours I'm gone. It's a big ask. Luckily, my wife is very supportive of me, but I can't just be doing that all the time. So I did a lot more training rides this year,
right?
Or trainer rides, so that I could just be on and off, which has been not as bad as I thought it would be. Doing 3.5 or 3 hours on the trainer. We'll see how that continues, but and just being very communicative of what I need to do throughout the week and trying to schedule it in when I can. If I can get it done during lunch, it helps a lot too. The other thing is I get excited some of my workouts, and then I just want to push hard and go faster a lot of the time, especially on my runs. Like the longer runs, I feel good, and try to negative split it and get faster and faster throughout the workout. And then especially in the summer when it was hot, I would have the long bike on Saturday, long run on Sunday, that I pushed myself probably too much. And then Monday I was just gassed. And then I would get really tired, be really tired for a couple of days. And I think it used to work better when I could get as much sleep as I wanted to, but now I can't get unlimited sleep anymore, because I like to get 9 hours of sleep a night before. Now I'm more like 7, which is still a decent amount, but
yeah,
I can't recover quite as fast from things.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're younger in the sport, and I think that is one of the hardest things to kind of accept almost, is that, you know, you have explosive muscles that really want to go and stuff like that, but really the thing about, you know, it's endurance sport, so you're not losing. I mean, I don't think you know, everybody's always wanting to prove that they're fast, in a short period, but you have to really, it's like that thing we talk about. It's not how fast you go, but how little you slow down. And it's that thing to learn that. And I was just on an interview with another athlete earlier, and I was talking about a quote I just heard from David Goggins. He said that patience is everything. And he goes, in growth, you know, because he said, I could watch a fucking blade of grass grow for 20 years. That's how patient I am, you know. And he's just in the process of it and understanding, like you're saying, it's a tough one to learn. I still struggle with it, because you're yeah, I feel good, I want to go faster, but it's, you know, it's really just in that moment that you're going faster. It's not really, you know, building for something later, which is that ability to hold that, you know. And So I
I'm
could see
sure.
how tough.
Yeah, I doubted going 30 seconds slower a mile versus 30 seconds faster a mile makes any difference in my fitness over the long term. It just makes me more tired.
Yeah, well, yeah, it could be. It could be the difference. Yeah, that it, it sort of cuts into your next couple of workouts. That type of thing. You know, and going hard on the bike. Just enough hard. I think that's where run speed is built a lot of times, is those hard intervals on the bike anyway. Like it's really good to hold your speed, explosive nature without having to beat yourself on the run all the time. So
Yeah.
oh, this is one I'm kind of interested because, like, again, you've been in the sport a few years and everything like that, and you're a younger guy. And I was talking about how when I started triathlon, and then like it was in Nashville, and I came back home and would run into my old buddies, and they'd literally say, "You have completely changed. You're totally a changed person." And it was just a slow, like triathlon did impact my life and all the working out. And I don't know if it just made me more game to do new things or try new things or not be intimidated by whatever. But I'm curious to know, like, if you've noticed some things in your life or just habit wise or anything that just have changed since you started doing triathlon. But I mean, you're doing crew and stuff, and I'm sure that's where it was built too.
Yeah. I think coming from an endurance, or I guess cruise kind of endurance, it's shorter distance, but the workouts are the same. Um, it hasn't changed as much, but through being just older, I can't do all the same things as I would be able to do in college and still be able to do the workouts. I also shouldn't have been doing it then. I had a lot of issues in college where we would have hard workouts stacked over and over, like all week. Basically, we'd have like 12 workouts in a week, and 8 of them would be basically all out during the winter just to build fitness. And I would just get completely obliterated and
go to
kind of blow up at the later halves of the week. And that was a big issue with me with my rowing career. And so a lot of people could do it fine, and I just wasn't able to do it. So trying to eat healthier and drink less, sleep more has been a big help to prevent that, but also just realizing that, like I was just saying, that not going really like as hard as I can every time makes me be able to do more, and then I don't get my legs don't just like give up, and I can continue doing the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great thing. I mean, we need energy in life, and as you get older, it's like you have to really pay attention to all that shit, because just sitting down at that desk some days has got to be, your mental energy and things like that too. It's all about regulating.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you got coming up, man? You thought about next year a lot, or no?
Yes, I have thought about next year. So I got a half marathon that's just like a lakefront half marathon in a couple weeks, I think about a month from now, which I've been having fun training for. So next year, my big race is going to be, or at least as of right now, Ironman Arizona.
Right.
So I'm going to try to go back to the full distance after a couple of years and hopefully go several hours faster. And then I think we're going to do Louisville again. Timing works out best. That was a fun race.
Mm-hmm.
I was between Louisville and Wisconsin, 70.3. But then one of my buddies is getting married that same weekend, so that cut out Wisconsin. So.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I think Louisville's a good course for you, man. I think you're on a really nice trajectory, and we talked about a lot how, I mean, you're in probably the toughest age group, first of all, or close to it.
Yeah, I think everywhere between 25 and 40 is hard, but
yeah, you're one of the tougher ones. I know that, and we talked about how that progression works and where you started and where you're at, and like I've talked. Even in it doesn't matter really what age group you're in. It's all relative to the tough, but like, kind of getting in the top 20 or something is sort of like attainable. And then you got to take it, do shit like you're doing now to get in the top 10. And then like that whole nother level is just but I think it takes experience and just learning through things like Rockford and Louisville.
Yeah.
But
I think I was 12th in Louisville. It wasn't a very big age group, but I was a couple of minutes away from top 10. So next year I definitely want to try to get that top 10.
yeah,
I think and if I can get my running to be from where it is now in a year and try to get closer to it was like mid 140s instead of mid 150s, that makes a big difference.
and there's no reason you can't, you know what I mean? We talk about how you run. It's just a matter of being able to put that together at the right time. Because you got you have the ability. So, but I think you're on the right track. It'll be interesting to see how this half goes. And so I guess we've talked about most of everything. You got anything else you want to share? Like life-changing. So what else was the last question was like some goals. I mean, you got a new job, you got a new kid,
Yeah.
You're doing it all, man.
I'm trying. My wife did her first marathon this year because apparently it was a good idea to do a marathon 9 months after having a baby.
Wow.
She finished it. She did Chicago, so I got to run around all the Chicago course and see a bunch of people, which was fun. And helping her kind of intro to distance running or distance. And she never really ran before either. So I was semi-helpful in that. I think sometimes I was trying to get her to do things like similar to like how I do it, which is not as helpful. She kind of had to do her own thing. I was trying. Having a baby this year, I was very stressed about how that would go and how much sleep I would be able to have and scheduling all the workouts. And it worked out pretty well. He sleeps very nicely, so that is a big advantage. He goes to bed at like 5:30 most nights and wakes up between 5:30 and 6, so we can get a decent amount of sleep. We just wake up a little bit early.
Damn, that's pretty good right there.
Yeah, I know. I wish I could go to bed at 5:30 too sometimes.
That's what I was just thinking to myself. I was like, wow, solid 12 hours.
Yeah,
uninterrupted.
And take that. He wakes up for 15 minutes around 9:30 or 10, so we can feed him, and then go straight back to bed.
Nice.
Yeah. One of my goals for racing is just continually getting faster, jumping up the age groups. Eventually, would like to try to compete for some Worlds or Kona. Kona is going to be just so hard.
It's not easy,
but it's a goal. Goal's not supposed to be easy. We'll see if it ever happens, but just want to keep on trying.
Yeah. Well, like I've always said, man, I think you've got the ability, it's just a matter of like kind of letting it out and unfolding and doing the right shit along the way to kind of form yourself into that racer that gets to that place. The talent level and I think the drive, and you've got what it takes. So it is just about just incremental improvements and being okay with that and understanding the sport a little bit deeper, as we all have to do. I'm not saying I own that. It's just, whatever works for you and following that path. So.
Yeah. I don't think anyone fully understands it. So you just gotta try your best. And
right.
Watching the women at Worlds last week, or at Kona last week, like it doesn't matter who you are. It's really hard.
It's really hard. And yeah, like we were talking in the podcast, it is almost like some of the ones that are the women that won ended up racing a little bit more like an age grouper would. But I think, a big part of that racing at that level and even where you're trying to go is kind of like taking some chances here and there, but, being prepared to take those chances,
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's really fun trying to do more racing rather than just getting the best time. If that makes sense. Like competing against people versus competing against myself, and it's a little bit of both. But I've been enjoying trying to get those placing and versus time, because conditions have so much to do with the time.
Oh yeah, yeah. We talk about that a lot too. So it's like it is what it is on that day, and being able to recognize that, I think sometimes is a big part of it. Even if it's like this year, I went. When I raced at Wisconsin, the weather was perfect, and I was pretty conservative. But I probably could have like took a few more chances just because the weather was good and the conditions were really good. But it is what it is. I don't care. I felt fine. But yeah, so just racing more and getting more of that out there. And I think this half marathon's a good thing, because it'll push that run and see what you have. And
yeah, and I can take as many chances as I want, because it's just a fun little race.
Right. Exactly.
Try some stuff out.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate the time, and I look forward to like seeing this journey unfold for you.
Yeah, thank you
For the ride.
Fun.
Yeah. Can you hang on a second here? I'm gonna shut it down, but I think I'm gonna end this recording.